Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of January 12th to the 18th, 2025, where I take a look at a couple of stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion about it. And obviously this week, after waiting, Nintendo finally pulled back the curtains of the Nintendo Switch 2, which is now the official name and everything like that. And I want to go over my take on the trailer and what they showed and everything. Plus, I also want to talk about basically the rumored Nintendo Direct, probably the last Nintendo Direct for Switch 1 before we go into the Switch 2. Ubisoft is considering working with Tencent and maybe moving some of their IPs over to a new company. And Square Enix seems to is basically going to be cracking down on what is basically would be harassment to their developers and everything like that. If you're interested in where I got the source of this information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I would like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details or anything like that. The first one has to do with the upcoming game Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, if I'm saying the name correctly. Got a new trailer that came out that basically is out before the game officially comes out in May and everything like that. I mean, the Rune Factory games are not that bad. It's a niche title, so it may not appeal to everybody, but I am curious about this one indeed. Nintendo basically responded after there was some backlash over the recent release Donkey Kong Country Return HD, where it turns out to be the original developers, Aulx Studio, were not credited in any way compared to Forever Entertainment, which handled this port and all. This is not the first time we saw this situation. We saw this what happened with Metroid Prime Remaster when that game was remade and remastered and all. We even saw the situation with Nintendo Music where the original composers aren't credited, to even the DK rap in the Super Mario Brothers movie, though, where the original folks weren't credited and everything like that. And well, Nintendo is claiming that they give credit to all the folks and everything like that, but still, I can understand why some people don't like when Nintendo does this and all. I would like to see basically the original folks who work on it deserve the credit even for this remaster and remake. We also saw that basically Nintendo's share price kind of has dipped for a little bit following the Nintendo Switch 2 official reveal and everything like that. Judging from the dip, it doesn't seem to be that bad or anything like that. I don't foresee this as Nintendo's going out of business or anything like that. I mean, sometimes the market's going to move up or down. There are always times, sometimes some investors kind of over panic to a certain degree. So it doesn't seem like this is going to have really, it doesn't feel like, I don't see this having really a big negative impact on Nintendo and all. We also learned that supposedly, in terms of the supply chain for the Switch 2, that Nintendo may be working to get make as much Switch 2s as possible to get it out there ready for when the system eventually is released and all. There are rumors pointing towards a late May and June release and all, to even a July. Again, we don't know until we get the official confirmation on that. But it seems as though they're trying to aim to counter what we saw what happened back in 2020 when the Xbox Series X and the PS5 came out, and how there was a lot of supply and demand situation. People had a hard time getting the system. A lot of it was from the scalpers, although some might point COVID as one of the factors, and I do think it certainly was definitely one of the factors as well. But clearly, a lot of the scalpers was definitely one of the issues. Hopefully this will address the issue, but we'll have to wait and see. We also learned that Jason Schreier recently came out and basically said that he believes that the Switch 2 teaser is basically moving ahead with basically allowing third-party companies to announce their games for the Switch 2 and all. I mean, whether that's true or not, that remains to be seen, but given that it's from Jason Schreier and given his history, I would say odds are it probably is true, but I think we'll have to wait and see until we start hearing more third-party developers make the announcement of, yeah, the game's coming to the Switch 2 and everything. We also learned that there is rumors, at least from Nate and Hate, basically pointing out that Sony will be doing a state of play next month and all. Now, granted, nothing is official or not, but given that this is from Nate to Hate, and given his track record, which, to point out, he did nail down the Switch 2 reveal and everything like that, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility we'll get a state of play for next week. Whether that state of play is good or not remains to be seen when that game comes out and everything. We also learned that basically Sony has canceled basically 2 live services games from 2 of their studios, Bluepoint and Ben Studios, and supposedly one of them was working on a live service God of War title. This has really started to throw into question some of Sony's strategy, and there's been some criticism over them wasting a generation on their console just to chase the live service gravy train and everything like that. I mean, look what happened with Concord and how that happened and everything like that. And while there's been no indication that Bluepoint or Ben Studio is going to be shut down at all, it does raise questions of some of Sony's strategy and everything like that with this generation of consoles though. I mean, some are pointing out that they wasted this generation focus on that, so we'll see what happens going further down the road with the PS5, and when the PS6 comes out, whether Sony learned their lesson over the whole live service approach and everything like that. We also learned that supposedly there was a report coming out that Microsoft in 2021 was basically made a decision to buy more studios than over basically winding down Xbox and all. Now, Microsoft has sort of come out and denied that, saying that it was gaming all the way. This came from supposedly something called The Informant or something like that. It's behind a paywall and all, but I would say Microsoft certainly is in a very interesting position. Supposedly they're still making money, user base is still doing well, but there has been some questions about their consoles. They're saying they're all in, but they're putting their games on other systems, and I feel as though when it comes to messaging, Microsoft really has not done a good job of that, and I think that is somewhat concerning. But supposedly right now they're saying, yeah, we're all in on gaming. There's rumors of them doing a handheld to supposedly a generational leap with their next console, and it remains to be seen if they'll reveal it maybe in 2025 or not, so we'll have to wait and see if that happens. And finally, an analyst basically believes with the upcoming GTA 6, which is rumored to supposedly come out this year, is basically looking at the possibility we could see the price of games go up to $80 to even $100 and all. And some of it points to the amount of balloon costs for a lot of these games being developed and everything like that. I'm hoping that's not the case. I think that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of folks if the game starts going up above the $70 to like $80 to like even $100 and everything like that. And besides, we've seen games that have been expensive and shipped in the worst possible state ever. So I'm very concerned if we start seeing the price goes up to $80 or even $100 and all. And in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we had 2 trailers that were showed off this week. The first one was Daredevil Born Again, the upcoming, basically what many view as maybe the 3rd season of the Daredevil series, which started on Netflix before making its way over now to Disney Plus and everything like that. Though I am very curious about this one and I want to take a look at it. Plus, I think the Netflix series is now available on Disney Plus as well. We saw a new trailer for Captain America Brave New World. Definitely one I'm going to keep an eye out for. I am getting somewhat of a Winter Soldier vibe out of it, and that certainly isn't a bad thing at all, but I still want to see the movie myself. Plus, they showed off a bit of a scene which looks like we saw the Red Hulk and everything, so that one is going to be neat. And last but not least, there was a report coming out that the TV show Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus seemed to be not getting as high as a viewership or as most would have thought. It's even lower than, say, the Aulx, if I'm saying the name correctly, which basically did not do very well, and that basically got canceled after 1 season. So it remains to be seen what this means for the future of Skeleton Crew and everything. So time will ultimately tell. I still have 1 more episode to watch, and I'm hopefully maybe we'll get a season 2 and all, but time will ultimately tell if that will happen or not. Okay, with the quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the My 2 Cent, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Square Enix and a interesting policy that they are now beginning to enforce though. Now, one of the things we've seen with the fandom is, and this is something I've seen, is that there are times when the fandom can go a bit overboard and all. Now, I'm not saying the fandom is wrong all the time. I think there are times when they are correct. The ugly Sonic situation is a good situation to point out. The loot box in Star Wars Battlefront 2, basically the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 back in 2020, and of course the launch of the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition, where people were demanding like their refunds after how those games were handled. So I do think there are times I think the fandom can be correct and spot on. However, there are times when I do think the fandom or the fan base can take things a bit too far. Sometimes if it's a story that doesn't match what you think is canon and everything like that, other times it can be just going way out of line in certain situations though. Well, it appears as though Square Enix is taking what many would view as a tougher approach to the situation in general. In an article from GameIndustry.biz, it reads that, quote, Square Enix has updated its group customer harassment policy that protects its employees and partner. As detailed on its website, customers who harass Square Enix employees could now face legal action as a result of their actions. There are instances where certain customers take actions directly or through our support center or towards our group executive, employees, and partners, the firm says. Should Square Enix determine that an individual has engaged in an act against one of our employees or partners that exceeds socially acceptable behavior or is harmful, we reserve the right to cease providing support services or to refrain from providing our group's products and services. Square Enix reserves its right to protect its employees and partners and to take legal actions or criminal proceeding upon consulting the police and or lawyers. Now, I will say I kind of agree with this to a certain degree, and I somewhat have concerns about this though. On one hand, I can understand why Square Enix is doing this to a certain degree. There have been times where I think some fans or fandom, not everybody, I want to make that clear, not everybody, but I do think there are some cases where some people take it way too far, and I can understand Square Enix's reason for doing this. On the other hand, I am a little worried that this could lead to a situation where Square Enix could overreact to a certain degree. Like, for example, if someone is criticizing, saying, hey, this product is faulty and not working and all, I think the worrisome part is Square Enix decided to think that is harassing the employees and everything like that. So I have some concerns about this situation though. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out and everything like that. So I am sort of mixed on the situation though. So overall, I think on one hand, I do think Square Enix has a right to protect their employees, and so far for those people who take the fandom way too seriously and goes out of the way to threaten or bully the employees. But on the other hand, I am a little concerned of what happens when people speak out against, like, say, anti-consumer practices or something like that. Like, Square Enix is going to consider that bullying or harassment. So I do have to say this is sort of a double-edged sword to a certain degree. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2 of our video, and this one has to do with supposedly a decision Ubisoft is making in terms of maybe moving their IPs maybe over to another company or something like that to try to get themselves out of the current situation Ubisoft has kind of dug themselves into. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Ubisoft, in which supposedly they might be trying to figure out a way out of the situation they kind of have dug themselves into. Now, obviously Ubisoft has been in some rough spots lately, and unfortunately this is the latest one they're in though. A lot of their games like Star Wars Outlaw did not perform as well as they had originally thought for, which has led to a delay of Assassin's Creed Shadow, which was originally supposed to come out in February, but now it's coming out in March. Although some are saying that may not be a bad thing for them, considering February is supposed to be packed and everything, with ranging from Evolve to Monster Hunter Wild coming out and so forth. So some are debating. There are some who think this is actually a good move on Ubisoft's part, but nevertheless, there's been some questions about some of the decisions they made, ranging from some of the workplace issues, which has been like some supposedly toxic at one point, to some of their decisions on some of the game designs, ranging on focuses on AAA only type of games, to basically pushing their luck with DRM or always online, to basically have every game be an open world approach, which not every game does. And many are pointing the blame at the leadership at Ubisoft for putting this company in the position that they are in right now. Well, a new report supposedly from Bloomberg seemed to indicate that Ubisoft might be trying to create a new venue, or as part of their major change to it, and some of this has to do with Tencent and all. In an article from GameSpot, it reads that, quote, "A new report contains fresh clues about the apparent partnership between Ubisoft and Tencent. Ubisoft's fortune continues to slide as the company looks a way forward. Bloomberg is reporting that Ubisoft and Tencent are considering, among other options, creating a new venture that could include certain Ubisoft assets. The overall aim is to improve the company's value," sources said. The two companies are now evaluating which assets to include in a new entry and their evaluation, the report says, citing anonymous sources. Should a deal come together, Tencent could gain more control over some of Ubisoft's franchise, the report said, adding that Tencent would also benefit from improving its own business results outside of China. Sources told Bloomberg that no final decision has been made and that the conversation remains ongoing. None of this should be surprising either, as Ubisoft said on January 9th that it has appointed advisors to examine opportunities for Ubisoft to maximize the value of its company through a variety of possible business maneuvers. In a conference call, though, Ubisoft declined to comment on the report, Tencent discussing, which dates back many months. A spokesperson from Tencent has declined to comment on whether, when approached by Bloomberg, while a representative for Ubisoft points to a January 9th announcement. So whether this works for Ubisoft or not remains to be seen. I am kind of curious what this joint venture means. Are we talking about maybe a separate company or something like that, that Ubisoft and Tencent are working on or something like that? So there are certainly different ways and all, but either way, though, obviously something needs to be done, and many believe a lot is riding on Ubisoft's next game, Assassin's Creed Shadow, which we'll see how well that game responds and everything like that. So as far as them teaming up with Tencent, though, again, I'm mixed to a certain degree. I mean, I get it if basically, I mean, Ubisoft wants to work with them, they have a right to do that, but there's also the concern about the whole, well, with them working with this Chinese firm and everything, and it kind of raises the whole 2019 Blitzchung situation that really kind of gave the impression of all these companies doing business with China at the expense of ignoring, you know, the human rights abuse and everything like that. So I'm still mixed on them doing this, but at the end of the day, it is Ubisoft's call, and whether this ends up helping or hurting them remains to be seen. So we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. But overall, regardless of whether this works or not, clearly something needs to change at Ubisoft, and hopefully this will make things better for them. If not, though, then it's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for Ubisoft and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with supposedly a report coming out that we might see a Nintendo Direct next month and all. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one we're going to be talking about the possibility of a Nintendo Direct. So with February around the corner and everything like that, there have been we've been hearing whether or not we are going to be seeing a Direct and everything following, the Switch revival and all. I mean, already there are rumors about the possibility of a State of Play happening, though, coming from Nate DeHate. And recently, though, Nate DeHate has also weighed in and does believe, at least according to what he's saying, is the fact that we probably are going to see a Nintendo Direct happen in February and all. So in an article from GameSpot, it reads that, quote, podcaster Nate DeHate has reported that Nintendo will host a Nintendo Direct event focused on games from the original Switch sometime next month. He said during the same podcast when he correctly predicted that Nintendo Switch 2 reveal would take place on January 16th, which it did happen and everything. Brazilian journalist Pedro Henrique, if I'm positive I'm not saying the name correctly, backed up this report via Video Game Chronicles, saying the Nintendo Direct for Switch 1 games is coming in February. As for what games could be highlighted if this does indeed host a Nintendo Direct in February, that's anyone's guess. But some possibilities include Pokemon Legends Z and A, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, among other possibilities. So, I mean, assuming what Nate DeHate is saying is true, and given his track record, I won't completely outright ignore it, though. I do think, and I think a lot of people have come to this, is that if this is a Direct that's happening that's going to focus on Switch 1, this is probably going to be sort of the final send-off for the Nintendo Switch, as this is probably the last time we'll see a Direct focused squarely on Switch 1 and everything like that. In terms of what games that they could show, I mean, it's possible they could show off Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. We could see more of that. Although some are speculating that game could be a cross-gen title where we could see it on not only the Switch 1 but Switch 2. Maybe a bit more about Xenoblade Chronicles X and everything like that. I wouldn't mind seeing some, maybe if there's any changes that they made to it and all. I mean, Pokemon, that's a possibility though. I'm sure they could do that, although there are some reports of a Pokemon event happening and all. So there are probably certain games, and even maybe some third-party games, maybe some that we don't know about that will be coming to the Switch 1 and everything like that. Obviously, if it does get announced, it's pretty clear they're not going to be talking about the Switch 2 at this event. That wouldn't be surprising and everything like that, since we now know that they are going to be hosting supposedly an April 2nd event, which will focus heavily on the Switch 2 and all that stuff. So, if assuming what he's saying is correct, I'm down for it at all. So overall, if a Nintendo Direct is happening, odds are, and most people will think this is probably going to be the case, this is the last one we'll probably see for the Switch 1. This is sort of its swan song and everything like that. So I'm hoping, and fingers crossed on this one, that this Direct that's focused on Switch 1, hopefully it's a good one indeed. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final one, and this one's going to be about the Switch 2. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I'm going to be talking about the Switch 2. Now, let's be honest, the Nintendo Switch 2 was basically Nintendo's worst kept secret and everything like that, though. We knew that eventually Nintendo was going to do a spiritual successor for the Nintendo Switch and all. It was just a matter of when Nintendo basically was going to talk about it. We do know that basically last year they mentioned that they are planning to work on, their plans for the successor was in the works, and that they would announce it before the end of the fiscal year, which was March 31st, 2025. Of course, along the way, we started to hear rumors about what the thing may or may not look like and everything like that. But, but by around November and around December, leaks started to come out about it, though, in terms of not the games or anything like that, although there were rumors of what games may or may not be in the work, but of course, basically what the system looked like and so forth. Now, I remained kind of skeptical before this reveal happened because we've been down this road before. We've seen people put up like 3D printers or mock-up or most recently AI images and everything like that. So I was very hesitant to believe this was real or not until there was an official confirmation. Not saying that they weren't real, but I wanted to make 100% for certain whether or not that was the case. And then, of course, Nate the Hate weighed in on it as well and basically started talking about how he heard that we were going to have a reveal this week. And when the 15th came around, people were kind of freaking out, thinking Nate was wrong and he got it. And then the 16th happened and the official reveal of the trailer was basically shown. And after watching the trailer myself, I would say this. I don't think the trailer was bad, but I would also say it's not as memorable as the 2016 Switch trailer when that was first shown for the first time and everything like that. In terms of what was shown in the trailer, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount of stuff that was shown. We did get to see basically the system is much bigger. That is for certain though. There was one area that I do think seemed to be confirmed, and that was basically there is a USB Type-C port, one on the bottom and one on the top, which I think that's good and all. And that's basically, it's nice to know, especially if you're going to bring it on the go and you decide to open up the kickstand and everything like that. So that certainly isn't a bad thing. Speaking of the kickstand, we also saw that it looked like this is a much improved kickstand over the first one, which is definitely nice indeed. And we did see some of the Joy-Cons though. Obviously a little bit bigger, there's a different approach to it, and it does seem to reinforces the rumor about the whole magnet in terms of clicking it together like that rather than just slide it off like you did with the original Switch and everything. One feature which I'm wondering if this is just for show or if this is confirmed, it showed the Switch on down here and it sort of like was zooming along with the other Switch Joy-Con as well. Although this is yet to be confirmed, it does seem to indicate that pretty much that you can use the Switch 2 Joy-Cons as sort of like a mouse. This has been something that was rumored for quite some time. And also, if assuming what they showed in that trailer is true, it looks like we can use it as sort of like as a mouse feature, which I am very curious to see how that is going to work for the Switch 2, especially if this opens the door to the possibility of maybe certain games where a mouse and keyboard is probably the only way to really play this game. So it will be very interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, we didn't see any games except for one, which was basically, and judging by the looks of it, looks like Mario Kart 9. Now it could be a different name and everything like that, but it's pretty clear it is a Mario Kart game. So obviously it's not the 3D Mario game like it was in 2016 Nintendo Switch reveal where you saw clips of Super Mario Odyssey, but hey, I'm down with the new Mario Kart game now. I think it's time to move on from Mario Kart 8 and all, so that certainly is nice. Although some have pointed out that the racetrack seems to have so far like 24 people, so on 24 racetracks and everything, or 24 people on a racetrack, so I'm very curious to see how that is going to work and all. And we also got confirmation of basically the fact that the system will be backwards compatibilities, which I think that's good. I'm glad that they confirmed that. So hopefully that addresses a lot of concerns of those who had with the whole backwards compatibility issue and all. However, they did mention in that trailer though that certain games will not be backwards compatible. I am curious to see what those games may be. I would like to see what games may or may not be backwards compatible though, although I've heard some of it may be Labo and all, which I would not be surprised if that is the case and everything like that. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll get a list of what games are and aren't backwards compatible with the Switch 2. Another feature that I think was absent from this that I'm hoping this gets confirmed though is the system being region-free. One of the things about the Nintendo Switch that I did like, that I thought Nintendo did the right thing, was make the system region-free and all. And I think that's good, especially for those who choose to maybe import games here and there. So I am hoping that is the case for the Switch 2. I believe most likely it will be, but I'm hoping to hear an official confirmation and all. And of course, we're also having supposedly they'll have a playtest event, so they have certain dates where they will have people trying out, the Switch 2. And supposedly they are aiming for an official presentation, like really go all out with basically the Nintendo Switch 2 on April 2nd. So hopefully we'll see some other games and that they may show off, maybe some from third parties, maybe from first party games and everything like that. So it was an interesting trailer, anything particular special or anything like that. I am definitely looking forward to trying the system out. I liked the first Switch. I thought the concept was great. I'm looking forward they are expanding upon it though. I'm hoping we get more concrete evidence on like what's going to be in it. I know there have been rumors and showing off what the motherboard may look like, but I would like to hear official confirmation, not only from Nintendo, but maybe NVIDIA and Samsung as well, to see what is powering the system. Is it using DLSS, which I still believe it's most likely to be the case? Is it using this T239 chip, supposedly rumored to be powering the Switch 2 and everything like that? So there's a lot we still need to hear more about in terms of the Nintendo Switch 2 and everything. And hopefully we'll start hearing about pre-orders soon. I'm planning to try to pre-order it though. I'm hoping to take the layaway approach to get the system and everything. So I would say I'm certainly looking forward to the system. I'm certainly hyped for it and everything like that. As far as the trailer goes, as I said, it's good, but not on the scale of the 2016 Switch 1 trailer. So overall, I would say glad that Nintendo finally revealed the Switch 2. Hopefully more information can start coming, more official information can start coming out right now, and we could put most of these rumors to rest. I don't know if we're going to put all of them, but I'm hoping we could put a majority of these rumors to rest, and hopefully we'll start hearing third-party developers start talking about Switch 2 and what games they are developing for it and everything like that though. Okay, this concludes my my 2 cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Square Enix going after those who harass their employees and everything like that? Do you think this is the right thing for Square Enix to do? Or do you think the approach you feel like is going way overboard and all? What are your thoughts about this approach Ubisoft's doing with Tencent in terms of this new venture with some of their IPs and all? Do you think this is a smart move on Ubisoft? Do you think it's a smart move indeed for both Ubisoft and Tencent? Do you think this will help Ubisoft in any way, or do you think this will hinder Ubisoft? What are your thoughts about the possibility of a Nintendo Direct next month? Do you think it will happen and all? Are you surprised or not surprised that it will most likely be focused on Switch 1 games and all? And do you think this is sort of you still feel this as a final send-off for the Switch 1? And last but not least, what are your thoughts about the Switch 2 finally being revealed and all? Do you think it was a good reveal and all? Are you looking forward to getting the Switch 2 and everything like that? Do you feel like some of the leaks may have sucked out like any of the surprises for the Switch 2 reveal in any way? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye.